Looking for a summer experience your child will never forget? Camp Paw Print and Camp Wildside at Dane County Humane Society offers unforgettable opportunities to learn, explore, and grow while having fun. Perfect for kids age 7 to 12, Camp Paw Print features hands-on animal encounters, crafts, themed lessons, and more. For youth ages 12 to 15, Camp Wildside offers unique themed focus on wildlife exploration, nature adventures, and conservation activities. Make lasting memories with these one-of-a-kind camps. Register today at giveshelter.org/education. One of the holy grails of yearly bike rides is coming up. Loop the Lake is on Saturday, June 20th, starting and ending at the Eastside Club on Monona Drive. Gear up for an at-your-own-pace 13-mile ride around the gorgeous Lake Monona. You'll get food, beverages, a t-shirt, and, of course, local pride. Kids 10 and under ride free with an adult, plus proceeds benefit Clean Lakes Alliance. Register today at cleanlakesalliance.org/loop-the-lake. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's Thursday, so of course it's time to dish on Madison's food and bar scene. And today, we're bending our definition to include dinner and a show. Cap Times food and culture editor Lindsay Christians is here to talk about American Players Theater's 2026 season. I can't believe it's already coming up. Lindsay, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. These are all my favorite things.
Before we get into it, I'll note that American Players Theater is a sponsor of CityCast Madison. Thank you. Though we're talking about APT outside of that sponsorship. So everyone knows, y'all know, but we wanted to talk about this anyway. Anywho, Lindsay, we had you on the show last year to talk APT, of course, and this year the Spring Green Theater Company has new shiny accolades. They are regional Tony winners. What a boon. Lindsay, what does this mean? What can you tell us about this award? How big of a deal is this?
So when I reached Brenda DeVita, she's the artistic director of American Players Theater, on the morning that the award was announced, we both just screamed. Like I held the phone away from my face and screamed, and she screamed. It was a very exciting day. It's been a very exciting few weeks since the announcement. I was up reporting the story that is in the Cap Times as of yesterday, and everybody is just so bubbly and buzzing with happiness and choosing what they're going to wear to the Tony Awards, which are this coming Sunday at Radio City Music Hall. American Theater Wing gives the Tony Awards every year. It's the best day of the year for me, a theater kid. So it's a huge deal for APT. APT is the first company in the state of Wisconsin to receive this award. The regional Tony, up until maybe, I want to say 13 years ago, 2013 or so, it was only ever given to regional theaters. So in other words, outside of New York. New York being kind of the center of the theatrical universe.
Everyone else is a region, honey.
Yeah, right. Everyone else is the regions is what they call them. Yes,
regions.
Yeah. So, but they did expand that definition to allow some theaters in New York to win it, and a few have since then. But these are theaters in St. Louis. I mean, I think the Guthrie in Minneapolis has won it. I'm pretty sure Steppenwolf and Goodman have both won it in Chicago. So they are in wonderful company, but this is a recognition that what they are doing in this tiny town, Spring Green, Wisconsin, has national repercussions. It is in conversation with theater and art that is being made all around the country, and it's just so wonderful to see them bring it home.
Yeah, and we've known that all along, right? So for them to get this recognition is just the signed, sealed, delivered. Now we can hold up, they can hold up their awards and be like, and it be like that.
Yes, yeah. They've gotten more recognition in recent years. I mean, the Wall Street Journal used to always come out. Terry Teachout, the late Terry Teachout, was a big fan of APT, and he would come out. Chris Jones from the Chicago Tribune would come up, and he would review the season, or at least some plays in it. But they got a big spread in the New York Times last year. So I feel like they've been really kind of taking that national stage.
Yeah, that was a huge moment. I remember that. Lindsay, you are a certified APT aficionado. For folks who haven't been to a show at the American Players Theater, how would you set the scene? Dim the lights.
Yes. So I have been covering APT for 18 years. It was literally the very first thing that I ever did for the Cap Times was review a play at APT on June 23rd. Yeah. June 23rd, 2008. So I have been covering this company for a really long time. The first time I went out to APT, I made what I think of as a rookie mistake. And I would love to save other people from this. So I thought that APT, being an outdoor theater, would be like sitting on the side of a hill, which you are, but there are seats and overhangs, right? We brought a blanket. We brought like a picnic that we planned to eat during the show. Don't do that. And like, I was so hungry during the show that I kept like sneaking bites of our baguette, like out of our little picnic basket, because we didn't know that you need to come early to get up the hill. We didn't know that you needed to bring, food that you're going to eat, and then you pack it back into your car and then you go up the hill. Like there's a process. And we just didn't know any of those things. So I would love to save some folks from that. The thing about APT is, yes, it is an outdoor amphitheater, 1,100 seats in the Hill Theater, and then the smaller, roughly 200 to 10 seat Touchstone Theater, which was built in 2009. So there are 2 spaces. There are 5 shows running in repertory in the larger space and 3 in that smaller space. And the thing to sort of know if you're going out to APT is you do want to give yourself time, because it's a lovely walk up the hill, but it's a walk up the hill. There's a shuttle if you have any kind of accessibility needs, or you just don't feel like walking up the hill. You could just take the shuttle. No, they're not going to check. And you can always sort of make plans to help yourself be more comfortable. So especially early in the season and then late in the season, I always say bring another layer. I can't tell you the number of times my husband's had to buy a sweatshirt. I think the first time was legit, and the other times he just likes the sweatshirt. He was like, I was cold.
He's primed himself, Pavlovian.
Yes, exactly. He has many APT sweatshirts now. They're super soft. But so you want to bring an extra layer. Sometimes we'll bring a blanket to put over our legs. Sometimes you'll bring just a poncho if it looks like it might rain. APT does play through light rain. And there's always like this moment, if it starts to drizzle, that everybody kind of goes rustle, 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 rustle into their ponchos. And there's like a brief pause, and then they keep going. And it's kind of magical. It feels kind of awesome to be out there. Like, we're all in this together. We're going to see the show. They're going to do the show.
Moving together. Yeah, being in rhythm.
Yeah.
And if you come late, then you make yourself kind of like you're in your own play, and it's not about you. Like, give yourself time to get it settled.
Yeah.
Don't be running up that hill. Don't Kate Bush this. Like,
yeah. I will often, they'll give you, like, if it has been raining in the afternoon but the rain has stopped, they'll give you, there's like paper towels they'll give you to like wipe off your seat and everything, and that's fine. Touchstone, of course, plays in all weather. And I think that there's a perception with APT that it cancels more often than it does. They really don't cancel that much. They will hold for weather until the weather passes. So your show might start at like 8 o'clock instead of 7:30 or something. But it's pretty rare, all told, for the number of shows they do for them to cancel for weather. So even if the weather report looks a little sketchy or you're watching it, of course, if it's like a day before, you can make that change if you want to move your ticket. But I recommend just giving it a shot.
Nice. So it's a pretty reliable date is what it sounds like. And you mentioned that first time you came, having that baguette. Let's talk about food for a second, because as we promised, food in a show. I know lots of folks take advantage of American Players Theater's picnic space. And it's Thursday. Let's talk about it. We can have some fun here. But what is like an ideal picnic lunch to bring to APT? What are you packing? And any other details we should know about the picnic area?
So we usually do our own picnic situation where we bring the things that we want to put on the grill, because there's a bunch of grills in the picnic area. They're propane. So we've brought everything from like veggie and meat kebabs to marinated flank steak to, I often will do like a marinated bone-in chicken thigh that I've packed in the cooler. And if I'm seeing, for example, I might be out for a matinee, a 2 o'clock show, and then I'm also seeing the 8 o'clock show on a Saturday, and my husband will get the grill going while I'm writing notes from the first show. And then
God.
Yeah. And then our friends will join us and we'll have this picnic. I usually tell people to get, like, if you've got an 8 o'clock show, like, I'll tell people join us at 5:30. Like it's so that we can just have this leisurely, relaxed, like long dinner. I always bring like a big, like a green salad and a grainy salad, usually one of each. There's like couscous salad that Ina Garten has that I brought out a million times. That's so good and it packs so well. So pasta salad's great. You can pick up all of that kind of thing, by the way, at like Fraboni's in Monona. Alimentari over on Monroe Street is great. Divino is one that I really like that's kind of near the Capitol. But even like the Willie Street Co-op or your local grocery store or whatever, just find some things that look good to you that you can kind of put together. Hy-Vee actually has a pretty good deli, and you can grab some deli things and maybe some pre-made sandwiches and just go. But the making it yourself, I think, is the best. Like I enjoy that part of it and like kind of assembling, and everybody in our group will bring something to share. But if you don't want to do that, and I totally get if you don't want to do that, there are a couple of other options. You can order from Hubbard Avenue Diner, which is the vendor that works with APT. They have like, it's usually like a sandwich. I think there's like a little thing of fruit in there or a slaw. There's a cookie, and they're boxed lunches. They're not the most amazing thing you've ever had, but they get the job done. I've had them many times. In town in Spring Green, there's not a lot of games in town because it is very hard to keep a restaurant open and profitable and sustainable in Spring Green during the off season.
Sure.
So we've, had some and lost some over the years. Currently, I think the best place to get dinner if you're coming out before a show is Reunion. They have kind of reinvented themselves as a barbecue place. It is not smoky in there at all. If that's a concern for you, you won't smell like smoke. But it's like a kind of a meat and three, where you get, like brisket or pork or chicken or something, and then you have like your little sides. They've got a pretty patio space out there that's kind of on the main drag of Spring Green. It can be tough to find like food, especially if you're coming out before a show that's like a popular show, like a Matchmaker or something. It might be a line. Just make a plan for food is what I suggest, because it is pretty rural.
I'm blown away. I had no idea that you were bringing steaks to APT, Lindsay Christians. I did not understand your APT game. I've talked to you about your APT game, so I'm glad that we are doing this, because I was thinking like a chicken salad sandwich would be great. Like, what's your picnic? You think about picking up a sandwich at Casetta's or whatever and bringing it along, but you're bringing like real meals. So knowing that there are grills is huge. And having those details about like what's actually available in Spring Green, it's not like other people don't have that idea. So if you want to guarantee your experience, like keep what's in your control. Like you said, there's some limited stuff out there. And that makes sense about the rural nature of Spring Green and the fact that there's a season to this. There's a seasonality.
Yeah. My husband does bring his own grill tools, and I suggest that.
I'm loving your partnership, like side stage.
He brings his own grill tools. He has left them at APT. We've also, I'll never forget the year, I like spent all this time making these kebabs, and they were really great. And then I packed them like with foil on the top and then like freezy packs on top. And we left them just sitting on the table here at the house, and just drove away from them. And I was like,
it's heartbreaking.
And it's so frustrating because you're like, that's probably not safe now.
Oh, yeah.
But so that has happened. We've broken wine glasses. We've done it we've made all of the mistakes. I do suggest like a sturdy plastic kind of wine glass if you're going to do this. But I've seen people go out with tablecloths with flower arrangements. My friend Gwen always used to bring a homemade pie like every single time. And so we'd always have pie at our little gatherings. And it is wonderful, too, because if you have a group of people and everybody brings a little something, it feels so abundant. It feels so summery. It's just such a celebration.
Literacy is the moment. Madison Reading Project's mission is to connect our community with free books and literacy resources that ignite a love for reading and affirm and reflect the diversity of young readers. And y'all, they truly put on one of the coolest events of the year. Every year, Madison Reading Project hosts a paper fashion fundraiser to behold, and it supports children's book access and free literacy programs called Red E to Wear. And the creativity is unparalleled. Ready to Wear is on June 11th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Sylvie. This year's theme is out of this world. Get your tickets today at madisonreadingproject.com/readytowear2026 and gather your best mates. You can get the best ticket price when you buy a 4-pack, so you get your friends together and enjoy this one-of-a-kind night. I'm glad that we talked about food options. It is Thursday, and I do think the food probably tastes better knowing that that amazing show is coming up. And I am a little bit dying to know what are some of the highlights of this season are expected to be. So let's, now that we've squared away the picnic part, talk about the shows playing this year. And I also want to note quickly that I know that some of our listeners are CityCast Madison neighbors. Hey, neighbors. And y'all have paid to not hear our ads. So you will not know that we CityCasters have a promo code for 20% off of any performance in the Outdoor Hill Theater. I'm just sharing this here now because we want everyone to know that. Take advantage of the code. That code is CITY20, lowercase city, and then the number 20, CITY20. All right, y'all. Back to Lindsay, back to the shows. Lindsay, give me a rundown of some of the top shows. Let's get to them.
The first show opening in the Hill Theater, which is that outdoor amphitheater, is As You Like It. So this is one of the kind of standards that APT and other Shakespeare festivals will do. So you've got your Romeo and Juliet, your Midsummer Night's Dream. You've got Much Ado About Nothing, and you've got As You Like It. As You Like It has some of my favorite lines in it. It's got the sermons and stones and the books and the running brooks. It opens with there's the Duke, and then there's the other Duke, his brother. And the Duke, Frederick, has banished Duke Sr. to the forest. But Duke Sr.'s daughter is still hanging out in town, right? And she's besties with her cousin. And at the beginning of the play, there's usually a wrestling match. I don't know if every production does a wrestling match, but there's usually a wrestling match, and the girls are like, oh my God.
Duke's up.
Yes, right. And the girls, Celia and Rosalind, are like, oh, those wrestlers are kind of hot. We're kind of into them. And then Rosalind, the banished Duke's daughter, gets banished as well. And her cousin is like, if you're going, I'm going, ride or die. And they go together to the Forest of Arden. So they basically one is banished and the other one follows her. Celia follows her. So Act 2 starts in the Forest of Arden. And at this point, we're in a lovely pastoral comedy because Rosalind has decided to disguise herself as a boy. This usually involves like a hat and overalls. That's how I've seen it done that way a couple of times.
That's a man now. You got overalls.
Yep, a hat and overalls, and she's Ganymede. So they have this kind of lovely thing where Orlando, who's one of the hot wrestlers, comes and is like, I'm in love with this Rosalind. I'm obsessed with her. And so Rosalind, disguised as Ganymede, is like, well, just tell me how you're going to woo her. Do all the things that you would do, and I'll just tell you if you're, doing good. I'll help you. And so it's this
Buy
lovely...
her a tub. No.
Yeah. Every Shakespeare comedy ends with a wedding. As You Like It ends with 4. There are 4 weddings. This production, I got to see a little bit of a rehearsal, and the actor who's playing Rosalind, Samantha Newcomb, has real chemistry with Derek, her Orlando. And I was like, ooh,
that's fun.
This is kind of fun and busy. It's a really fun show. There's a lot of kind of bawdy, goofy comedy in it. Elizabeth Leto is playing Touchstone. She's going to be amazing at that. She's really funny, great physical performer. So I'm really looking forward to As You Like It. Directed by Laura Rook, who is a core company member, one of the younger members of the core company, who's moving into directing.
Something about the storyline is telling me I'm pretty sure I've seen As You Like It
there.
It's one of the classics, and I feel like I'm glad that we started with that. They're going to do an amazing job. That sounds fantastic. Gotta have your Shakespeare. All right, what else is on the list, Lindsay?
So speaking of stories that people are likely to know, or at least have some familiarity with, The Matchmaker by Thornton Wilder. Thornton Wilder, who, by the way, has some Madison bona fides. He's got some roots here in the city. But The Matchmaker is Hello, Dolly. It's just the version without music. So if you know Dolly Levi and Horace Vandegelder and Cornelius Hackle, it's all the same characters. I was in a production of Hello, Dolly when I was a freshman in high school.
Dolly.
Right?
Yeah.
But we learned to say watermelon cantaloupe instead of actually like pretending to speak on stage because your ensemble, you're not talking, but you have to look like you're talking. And so we'd go watermelon cantaloupe, watermelon cantaloupe.
Watermelon cantaloupe.
But the matchmaker's really fun. So Dolly Levi, of course, larger than life character. She is a widow and she decides that it's her job to pair up all of the young people. And so she's making little love matches while also pursuing a later in life match of her own. So her late husband was the love of her life, but she frequently in the play will speak to her dead husband. She'll be like, "What should I do?" or "What do you think?" And then at one point she says, "I'm going to get married again. I'm going to marry Horace Van der Gelder for his money. And I'm going to send that money out into the world, to make other people happy, to make things happy." I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but it's a delightful comedy. Everybody who you wanted to end up together ends up together, but there's a lot of goofiness along the way. At one point, the two young men are courting the young ladies, realize that nobody has any money. And so they're trying to figure out how they can pay for the dinner. And there's this panicked moment and it's a lot of fun. And there's an iconic scene where they're all in this dinner club and Dolly has to basically eat a whole chicken. And I guess that's happening in this production too. So watch an actress pretend to eat a whole chicken or actually eat a whole chicken.
There's a lot of like fun trickster energy, but like soulful and sweet. Like I think it's summertime. It's a good time to be leading into the sort of romance and what's possible. And I don't know, for all of us aunties out here, I'm just calling myself an auntie these days. This sort of story is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun show. Brian Cowing, who is the artistic director of CTM, is directing this. He's wonderful, and he's got a great eye for movement and incorporating movement into plays. So I'm expecting music. I'm expecting dance. I know it's not the musical version, but he's got a musical background, and so I'm excited to see what he brings to this.
I saw there's a story by Anton Chekhov that I've never read, but I've heard about it. Tell us about that show.
Yeah, so Uncle Vanya, I feel like it's one of those where everybody's in love with the wrong person. There's a lot of pining and unrequited love. And the thing with Uncle Vanya is you have this sort of family that's been in stasis, and then you have these external forces that come and mess everything up. Everybody's been kind of in a holding pattern. Sonia has sort of devoted her life to caring for Uncle Vanya and to just, she's kind of sublimated her own passions and her own desires. And she's like one of the true good people, I think, in like literature.
Does sublimate, does that mean pushing it down or is she letting it go or both?
Yeah, pushing it down. And they're all kind of stuck. Marcus Drushinsky, who you may remember from previous seasons, is playing Vanya. Casey Hextra, who's new to the core company this year, is playing the doctor. And the doctor has sort of always been in love with the professor's wife, but he's never really going to say anything about it. Chekhov is, I think, at once quite funny in like many places, but it also is not afraid to get real dark. Like to go to the lonely places and the places where nothing feels like it has any meaning or importance anymore. I think Chekhov does despair really beautifully, which is like a weird selling point about this play. But this is a new adaptation by Nate Berger, and I saw it for the first time at Winter Words, I think 2 years ago. Brenda DeVita is directing this. As I said, she's the artistic director of APT. And I think Uncle Vanya is a wonderful, I think, introduction to Chekhov, just because it really is about family dynamics and like the things that we don't say. For years, the things we don't say.
And they build on each other and they eat away. Yeah, there's something about some of those names, those Russian playwrights and literary figures like Leo Tolstoy. They're going to get you right in the soul and the stomach and the gut and the family. So I'm rooting for Uncle Vanya, and it sounds fantastic. What else is on deck, Lindsay?
So those are all the plays that are opening the Hill Theater for the first half of the season, which is to say that June chunk of openings. There's another couple that are going to be opening during the month of June. Casey and Diana is another one that came out of Winter Words. Playwright Nick Green is writing about basically an AIDS hospice house in Toronto in 1991, and Princess Diana is going to visit. And there's a character, Thomas.
Lady Di?
Lady D.
Lady D?
Yes, she's coming. And so there's an actor. When I first saw the reading, I was like, oh, is this going to be one where like we just talk about her, but she never shows up? But no, somebody plays her. So the premise of it is that Thomas, who's played by LaShawn Banks this summer, he's dying. He's dying of AIDS. And he has told himself he's going to make it until she visits. Like he's going to hold out and he's going to make it. And it's 1991. People didn't know that you could touch people with AIDS. Like nobody was talking about it. So it's going to be, I think, a pretty powerful piece, but it's also quite funny because like all these characters just have these really strong personalities. They're smart and they're funny. And it's some of it's a little bit gallows humor too, but it's like what we do when we're faced with these awful things is we have to laugh our way through them. And it's just, I loved this play so much, just seeing it in the reading, that when Nick Green had another play go up at Next Deck Theater in Milwaukee recently, I was like, I will see it knowing nothing about it because I know I love this playwright. He's just a wonderful writer. So Didi Batiste is in that. I love her. There's just some really great performances coming up, I think, in Casey and Diana. And then the other play is starring Jim Ridge and Colleen Madden, who are married in real life. They are core company members of APT and have been for, I think, a couple decades now. And the chairs, I admit, I last saw when I was in college, which is a minute ago, in a black box. And it's Absurdist. It's by Eugene Ionesco. And it's like many Ionesco plays, kind of existential and bizarre. And I think it will be really fascinating. I think if you've never seen an Absurdist play, they're not for everybody, I will say. But if you're going to see one, see this one, because these two actors, it just does not get better. It doesn't get better than this. They're so good. Colleen is incredibly good. Jim is too, of course. But like I cannot wait to kind of see what they do with this. They did Exit the King not too long ago, and that was it. Basically, it's about spiraling toward death, and like it was fascinating. So I'm excited to see what these actors do with it, but I'm really also excited to see how the creative team interprets this, because something that we maybe don't talk about as much, but like the creative teams, the costume designers, set designers, sound designers that they have working at APT, two of those people are up for Tonys this year too. Right? So Takashi Kata is a set designer. He designed Water for Elephants, which is coming to Madison in a couple of weeks, by the way. But he's up for a Tony Award this year, and Josh Schmidt is up for a Tony Award for sound design. And those folks have worked at APT for years. And so the quality of that creative work, the scenic and sound and costume design work, is also just of the highest quality.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really excited about this one specifically because Ionesco, he also did the play Rhinoceros. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my first introduction to absurdist play.
Yeah.
I was a high schooler studying French, and so me and the French teacher and a couple folks came to Madison at the Memorial Union Theater, and I mean, I was blown away. I'd never seen anything like it. So you're talking about the theater of the absurd, and it's just so much energy. And there are a lot of political messages, and it was kind of circusy. So like there's just a lot happening. And I see one of the writers about the chairs is a comedy about the end of it all, just the drama. I just love it. And like you said, all of those heavy hitters working on it. And for you to say, if you're going to see one, see this makes me feel like, God, I really want to see the chairs.
Yeah, there are certain types of plays that I connect with more than others, but I do think this is a great example of APT kind of stretching and saying, we're going to encompass all of these different kinds of styles. We're going to do these works that maybe you don't see as often, but that still deserve to be seen, that need to be in conversation, you know?
Well, there's another one of the plays, Dontrell Who Kissed the Sea, that's got our attention. What can you tell us about that?
Dontrell Who Kissed the Sea is such a beautiful play. I read this a few years ago when it came through as one of the Steinberg Best New Plays. And it is a beautiful story. It's a young man, I think he's 17, Dontrell, and he starts to just feel drawn to the ocean. He's about to leave for college. He's got like a college scholarship, but he feels this draw to this ancestor who was lost at sea. And we come to understand it was likely on a slave ship. It's so beautiful because it's about this young man who is on the precipice of kind of the rest of his life. And he's feeling drawn to his history, to understand who he is, to understand just the context for how he exists in the world and his family. His family can kind of feel him pulling away and can like feel him pulling toward the ocean. And there's not a whole lot that they can do about it because it's so strong. The pull is so strong. And it's about, I think, maybe a little bit like what we need to acknowledge before we can move forward or what we can't leave behind or the power of that history. It's a beautiful play. It's a really beautiful play. I highly recommend it. That's in the Touchstone. It's in the smaller theater.
Okay, well, that one feels like a must-see for me because I produced a whole podcast about this called Into the Depths, similar, but it was about folks going back and looking at ships that carried enslaved Africans and like really the disconnection that happened for Black Americans with water because there's a lot of connection with African myths and traditions with water and diving. And this sounds very magical and I'm just a water lover. So I'm glad that we hit that. I know there are more and people can read about it and stay, we're going to have everything linked and Lindsay, you've got a story coming out and folks need to, go spend more time with the write-ups for all of these different shows so they can get to know them. But I am going to turn to talking about the story that you just published about some of APT's newest additions to its core company, which is now the largest it's ever been. Talk about that.
So the thing about the core company is it was formed in the late 1990s as a way to have some stability within the acting company and to keep people there longer. And having a multi-year commitment was a good way to do that. So it started off, I think, with about 10 people. It currently has 18. And the reason it's so big is because we're in kind of this generational shift where some of the older actors like Sarah Day have begun to retire and they're bringing in some new performers like Phoebe Gonzalez and Josh Krause and Casey Hextra and some other folks. So I think that the interesting thing about the 3 new actors to join the core company this year is that they've all been performing with APT for quite a while. So LaShawn Banks, I think his first couple of shows with APT were 2001. He had a gap of maybe 10, 12, 15 years there. And then he came back and he did The Island, he did Seascape, and he's done some things since then. Trini Sandoval has been coming up the hill, I want to say, for maybe 7 years or so. The pandemic was kind of a weird time, but he did the production at 12th Night that I thought was absolutely incredible. One of the funniest productions of that show I've ever seen, largely due to him. And Casey Hextra, as I mentioned, he is a younger core company member. He's in his 30s, and he really had kind of bounced around a bit and hadn't really wanted to commit to APT. But he said, when I interviewed him about joining the company now, he said, I look at the lives these artists have here and I want this. Like, this is the kind of artistic and creative life that I want. And so I think he's really ready to like kind of settle in and, put down some roots and have that longevity at a single company. So for people who go to see APT, it's just going to be like, oh, familiar faces. These are people that I know and that I trust to do really wonderful work.
My goodness. Well, it is a Tony Award-winning theater out in rural, gorgeous Wisconsin. I couldn't agree with them more. Lindsay, thank you so much for always bringing the heat, the passion, the precision and detail about these plays. You really bring it to life, and I think you gave us the total rubric for food to eat at APT. You are divine. And thank you for coming on and bringing us the goods about what's happening at APT this year.
Thank you. Break a leg, everybody, and enjoy the summer at the theater.
That's Lindsay Christians, food and culture editor at the Cap Times. To get more Lindsay in your life, subscribe to the Food and Culture newsletter at captimes.com/newsletters. That's all for today. here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Madison. And hey, if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone who loves the absurd, the passionate, the things that make life worth living, including picnics. All right, y'all, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until next time, go check out those shows, take good care, and thanks for listening.